Hello everyone and welcome to week 11. What we'll be doing in this lesson is we will be looking at part 2 of the sniper, so page 3 and 4, and we'll also be having an overall look at the main events of the story. So what I'm going to do first is I am going to summarize the part 2 of the story, so that is page 3 and page 4 on your PDF. Please don't look at the summary until you complete the questions. So where we left off is the lady is lying in the gutter and the sniper is shot in the arm, and he needs to escape the roof before morning, otherwise he is going to bleed to death. The only problem is that his escape route is being watched by the enemy sniper. So the sniper comes up with a plan to trick the enemy sniper and shoot him with his revolver. He can't use his rifle because he is using it as part of his trick, and also he was shot in the forearm. So he places a cap on the rifle and places it over the parapet. The enemy sniper thinks that it is him, it is a person. So the enemy sniper shot the cap, and the sniper cleverly slumps the rifle and cap over to portray that of a dead body. So the enemy sniper thought he had killed the sniper and stands up. He thinks he is victorious and that he can relax. However, the sniper, or our sniper, shot the enemy sniper, who then fell from the roof to the ground. The sniper feels initial joy, but then remorse, feels very remorseful and full of grief for his actions. He leaves his position to find the identity of the victim because he was very curious, and then he discovers that it is his brother. So this was quite common during, or it is quite common during civil wars, that basically brother versus brother will fight each other, father versus father. So civil wars are notoriously harsh, so they tear families apart, and war in general tears families and countries apart. Now we're going to look into the theme of the text, and before we do that, I would just want to have a look at what theme actually means. So themes can be found in an array of texts, poems, plays, dramas, novels, short stories, and films. In very, very simple terms, theme is the message or lesson that the author wants you to learn from the story. Now, as we are in grade 7, the theme will no longer be stated in the text. What we will have to do now, because we are reading a higher level of story, is we will have to look at the events of the story or the actions of the character to determine the theme. So in the next slide, we will look at some ways in which we can determine the theme. There are several themes in stories. There can be one central theme that runs throughout the story, and there also can be several, or there can also be some minor themes running alongside the central theme. Now, to determine the theme, you must ask yourself a series of questions. So, what was the main problem in the story? How were the characters affected by that problem? So, how did they act? How did the characters change? So did they go from being a person of disrepute or a bad person and turn themselves around to act in a better way? So were the characters changed by an action? What did the characters learn? And what sticks with you from the story? And an example, for example, in the Maze Runner, so the gladiators work together to survive. So the theme would be like they would work together for the common good. So as a collective, you are stronger. Generally, in the story, if you are an individual or if you're individualistic, you didn't end up well in the story. You ended up probably dead in the Maze Runner, or you did end up dead in the Maze Runner. Now, the theme in the Sniper, I think it is the destruction of war. So what that means with the destruction of war, it means like the loss of life. So there's quite a lot of death during war. As a result, the population decreases in that country. The infrastructure of that country is destroyed. And what I mean by infrastructure, I mean the roads, the rail networks, airports, the buildings, so like banks, houses, schools. And because of that, the employment goes down because all of the buildings are destroyed and you can't transport equipment, you can't transport goods. Because the buildings have been destroyed and a lot of schools would have been destroyed, the education levels of that country would drop down. Not many children would be attending school. People would not have money to send their children to school, and a lot of teachers would be, in particular the Irish Civil War, a lot of teachers were fighting during the war, and as a result, There were not many teachers left to continue on with the education process in Ireland, and obviously mental health is an effect of war. So you'd be affected by the death of family members, you'd be affected by what you have saw or what you have seen. Now, in your long questions, I have asked you to complete a plot diagram question. Now, authors use plot diagrams whilst planning their story. So authors think they are very useful. So authors have said that they act as a blueprint for their story, which in essence gives their story a structure. So if you are building a house, you have to have plans first. Otherwise, things will become very messy and there could be problems later on whilst you are building your house. So it's the same for a story. So if you don't have a plan, there could be errors and there could be problems as you write your story. On the right hand side here, I have a simple plot diagram of the story I am sure you have all read, which is Cinderella, and we have broken it down into parts. So the exposition is basically the setting of the story, so where the story is set. And then we have the rising actions, which build up suspense, which reach the climax. The climax is the main part of the story. And in Cinderella, it's basically when Cinderella fits into the shoes or her feet fit into the shoes. And then the falling actions is what leads towards the resolution. And in the resolution of Cinderella, we all know that they lived happily ever after, like every Disney film. So I would like you to read through that to get an idea of what plot diagram is and how it is used by authors to construct the story. So I think you have a very good idea of what I'm going to ask you to do. So in your long questions, you have to create a plot diagram based on the sniper, so part one and part two. So you have to fill in the exposition, the rising action, the climax, the falling action, and the resolution. I have uploaded the plot diagram template on Google Classroom, and you can either download it and type it and upload it, or you can take a picture of it. Maybe you done it on your copy, and then you can send it to the teacher on Google Classroom. If you have any other questions, please ask your teacher on Google Classroom, and have a good day.